Oh, hey, I didn't see you. Aren't you getting bored of playing Pong on a dusty old boxy TV? Wouldn't you rather play Pong on a cool keyboard like this? Well, now you can with Pong 2.0. What happened? JJ.
Did you press it?
Pong 2.0, Bounce Beyond. So our game has 3 modes: single player, multiplayer, and an impossible mode that even you at home cannot beat because we made it impossible. To change in between, you click this button once to switch to multiplayer, twice to switch to single player, and then 3 times to switch to impossible.
The multiplayer consists of the top paddle and then the bottom one, and basically the game is to see how long you can keep it. The top paddle is handled by J and L, and the bottom paddle is by A and D. And if you pass one of the limits, it goes to game over. And in order to get out of game over, just click space, and it goes back to the beginning. And so every time you touch the paddle, the score increases by 10. So see, now that they've passed it 2 times, it scores 20. Now it's passed 3 times, and the score is 30. And then once it goes to game over, the score revamps. And so every time you play, you can try to get a new score.
Okay, so I'm going to be showing you the impossible mode, and in this mode there's going to be a block in the center of the screen, and if our ball touches that block, it's going to end the game instantly. And it's going to be pretty short because it's impossible, just like the name suggests. And the entire point of this mode is to just play around with the endgame mechanics and see how we can implement that on top of the endgame mechanics that we already have, where if it touches the bottom of the screen, it ends. So I'm going to press the button, and as you can see, there's a block here. It's going to bounce, and we still have all the controls that we have before, but when it touches this block, it's going to end the game, just like that. And the game over screen will show up after a slight delay, just because these things are so old. There you go. That's it.
Now we have regular Pong. So if you got no friends, you could play this one. I'm gonna press it 3 times, and then now we got regular Pong. You just play it with A and D as regular. You know, this is basically Pong. It's gonna get faster. Just watch some gameplay, some pro Pong gameplay that you've never seen before. After a little while, it's gonna give us more balls. Those balls are actually decoys. Yeah, riveting gameplay here. As you can tell, it's getting a little bit faster. Oh, a ball should be popping up soon. There we go. Now we got 2 balls. So now you see the real one stays. And when I lose, it's game over. That's our regular ball.
Okay, so here is the impossible module. And in this module, we basically have that mode where if you touch the square, it triggers the end flag. So what does it is basically the end block that's here right here that we call. Every time that's touched, it's gonna trigger the end game that's in square. So the end block is mainly just there for the VGA to actually see where the block is, and the coordinates of the block are actually assigned in the square module, as you can see. And we also have multiple end blocks just to make it overall more challenging. And for these end blocks, you can't actually see them, so it just makes it much harder, almost impossible, to actually survive in this mode. Hence why it's named the impossible mode. This game mode obviously shares the same modules as some of the other modes, because it also has the VGA generator. It has the paddle code for it. It has all of the end button, which is going to be the space bar. It has the left and right, so the A and D keyboard buttons. Yeah, it has every other button that the rest of the modules have, just with the end block and the square that triggers the end game, which is not in the other blocks.
So this is our Pong code. Like normal Pong code single player. I organized a little bit for you guys. So this is our display part. This is basically just calling the VGA, you know, drawing it on the board every time there's an update. Like if the ball's moving and it needs an update, it'll draw the ball moving and it looks like it's moving basically. But in reality, it's refreshing like 60 times per second, I think, because it's 60 hertz. Yeah, it's 60 hertz. This is our paddle module, and since it's single player, we only instantiate one paddle. Right here we initiate the controls. There's player one, player two controls because it's just a little messy. We haven't cleaned it up, but basic player two controls don't really do anything right now. But for player one controls, this basically makes it so A and D are the left and right buttons, and we put that into our paddle module, which move this module basically moves the paddle. It checks for if the button's pressed and then moves it in that direction, basically. Here's our ball module, which calls the ball. These are our decoy modules back here. And this is our drawing module, which basically just draws all the balls. This is basically connected to our VGA back up top over here. Yeah, it's basically connected to this and it draws it. And yeah, that's our Pong module.
Okay, so here is the impossible module. And in this module, we basically have that mode where if you touch the square, it triggers the end flag. So what does it is basically the end block that's here right here that we call. Every time that's touched, it's gonna trigger the end game that's in square. So the end block is mainly just there for the VGA to actually see where the block is. And the coordinates of the block are actually assigned in the square module, as you can see. And we also have multiple end blocks just to make it overall more challenging. And for these end blocks, you can't actually see them. So it just makes it much harder, almost impossible, to actually survive in this mode. Hence why it's named the impossible mode. And this game mode obviously shares the same modules as some of the other modes because it also has the VGA generator. It has the paddle code for it. It has all of the end button, which is going to be the space bar. It has the left and right, so the A and D keyboard buttons. Yeah, it has every other button that the rest of the modules have, just with the end block and the square that triggers the end game, which is not in the other blocks. Okay, so here is the ball module for the multiplayer mode. So the thing is, for this mode, the ball has to keep track of both paddles. Since our source code only had one paddle, so we had to make some major changes. And one of them is to actually have the paddle logic for the second paddle here, which was not present in the source code. So we added that logic and called it. And we also had to manually find the dimensions of the screen to make sense for the paddle that's going to be at the top, since the code only came with the bottom paddle. And obviously, that requires us to have all the direction inputs for the second paddle to be transferred to the ball. And we need to customize all the sizes for the collision physics for the ball. And all the speed mechanics, everything, we would have to account for the second paddle. And basically how this entire mode works is that there are 4 edges for the ball. And when it collides with another object using these edges, it's gonna change direction. And that direction code is written here. So if the edge of the square is at the left of the screen, so the left boundary of the screen is going to change direction to the left, to the right. If the edge of the square is at the right, it's going to change direction to the left. So that's usually how it goes. And if the pedal collides, obviously the score is going to go up, and that's linked to the 7-segment display. And yeah, and here is the size of the ball. So we use the half size of the ball to calculate the distance from the center of the ball to the edge of the ball and set up the collisions that way. And we also call different inputs from the game module that you've seen before with the impossible and the um multiplayer and the base module. So yeah, that's the key components of this ball module.